Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of TBQ Talk. Today is going to be short and sweet. I've had some people request how do we use Question Writer? Well, we're going to give it our best shot today to show you some basics in Question Writer and then give you a couple words of wisdom after. So let's get right to it. We're going to move right over here to our Question Writer computer. See if we can get that there. And there we go. Okay, so now we're on Question Writer. First thing we're going to do, I hope that you have downloaded it already. So that'll make it easy. You have these three icons here. And the bottom one I use for Question Writer. Now, before I do anything, and this is not the computer I always use, but I always try to set up a file folder for where I have my questions. I have all 7 years worth of books that I use. But for me, I'm just going to right-click on the C drive, open up my Windows Explorer, as you know. I'll right-click on my C drive, new folder. And I'm going to name that John Questions, if I could spell. And look at this, we can't. John Questions. All right, there we go. I got a new file folder. And there you have it. You'll see it right here, John's Questions. I'm just going to close that Explorer back up. And the reason I do that, just make it easier. Now some people save it in their documents or files or anything like that. I just like to know where my questions are. So next thing we're going to do, double click on the John Question Writer. And it will open up for us. And here we are. First thing we need to do, if we're going to start writing questions, we're going to create a new file. So we're going to go over here and click on New. It's going to ask for a description. I'm just going to put John in there for now. You don't have to put anything, but if you're going to go get the file, you're going to want to name it something. So maybe John Chapter 1, John Chapter 2, section titles, whatever you need. John Chapter Analysis. Got to name it something, and we'll just put Lemon there for the author, and then, wrong mouse, click OK. So now we're ready. Oh, here's where you name it. We just put John 1, and we're going to put it in the folder that I made. You'll see John Questions right here. That's where we're going to save it, John 1. So we're all set and ready to go. Your screen should look pretty much like this, and we're ready to write a question. Let's start with something easy. And my favorite, of course, chapter analysis. Down here, you'll see a lot of buttons right here. A. It says Create Chapter Analysis. If you look underneath there, I'm going to click on A, and it's going to give me a pop-up. Now I could go by book, I could go by chapter, I could go by section. In this case, we're going to go by section, and we're going to go in the first section. And here it's going to give you what is involved in the first section. Let's just take people, and you'll see John, Moses, and Jesus. Click OK. It's already set up. We're going to, 10 points, that's a little much for early in the season, so we'll click right here. You'll see you have 10, 20, and 30. We're going to make that a 20-point question. Okay, it is a chapter analysis, so you'll see that's checked. So when reading the question, we're going to put the section title in here. You'll see none. You can put the book in here. It just says from John. Take that off. You can put the chapter in there from John chapter 1, but that would be an invalid question, so we'll take that off. And let's just try the section title. So our question reads, for 20 points, 3-part chapter analysis answer from the section titled, The Word Became Flesh. Give the individuals. If you don't like that. And by the way, when you're writing questions, Jesse is the question writer this year. After the first match, you'll pick up some of his questions. Try to write the questions in the same style that Jesse writes them. That way, you'll have a better opportunity for the quizzers to be prepared of what's coming out. So you could say, give the individuals. You could say, name the individuals. Or you could say, which individuals are named. And we have our first question. Very easy. So we're going to go and do it again. Just to refresh you, down at the bottom, you'll see the letters. This is an A. And right under the A, it says Create Chapter Analysis. So let's do one more. Click on there. Let's go from John chapter 2. And we're going to go from a section title. And let's go parentheticals this time. There's one parenthetical. That looks like a pretty long one for early in the meet. So a 30-pointer would be good there. And we're going to click OK. Give the parenthetical mention. Well, let's see. Where are we going to come from? We're coming from the section title. 30-point chapter analysis. From the section title, the word became flesh. Give the parenthetical. I don't like the way that's worded, but you could leave it like that. I would just, my idea would be which parenthetical statement is mentioned. That would be my idea. And right underneath, you'll see the answer from John 1:15. John testified concerning me, cried out, saying, this is the one I spoke about when I said, he who comes after me has surpassed me, he was before me. Now, the parenthetical would be here. You can underline this if you want to let the the quiz master, who's ever quiz mastering, could underline that and say it is. You could know what the parenthetical is. You could do anything you'd like there. But that's just a quick way. You can do all kind of chapter analysis. We're going to do one more. We'll make it a little more difficult. Once again, we're going to click on chapter analysis. Let's go from John chapter 3. There's a ton here. Let's go from the chapter and the geographical locations. Wow, that's 8. That's a little much. Exclamations and parentheticals. Exclamations, that's a little much too. How about questions? 14-part, how about Old Testament scriptures? There's one. So, we'll make that our chapter analysis answer. Give the Old Testament scripture mention. We're going from, it's a 20-pointer, I would imagine, from John chapter 3. So we'll click OK. And we're going to put up here the chapter. You have none, book, section, chapter. We're going to put up chapter. I don't think that's from chapter 1. That's because I don't have the right one up there. You'll see down here, excuse me, J1. See where the mouse is over there? See that little mouse bouncing around? I'm going to go to John chapter 3. Okay, and now I forget which one that was. 20, was it? Nope. That's because I don't know John chapter 3 yet. Shame on me. Let's see if I can find it. I don't have my book here, so shame on me again. What I'm doing is searching for the verses for it. And I'm in John chapter 4 already, so I must have passed it up. Shame on me. See, I should have studied chapter 3. Pastor B knows chapter 3 already. I do not. I'm still finishing up 1. I can quote it now, but 4 less mistakes? I don't think so. Well, let's just do it over again. You don't like this question here? You can take and right-click. We'll just do it again here. Chapter analysis from John chapter 3, not 1 and 2. Exclamation. No, exclamation. Is that what we wanted? We'll do exclamation. That's a 20-pointer. John chapter 3. 3:4. Okay, give the exclamation mention. We're going from the chapter. 20-point chapter analysis answer from John chapter 3. Give the exclamation. Once again, it's always give. I would say which exclamation is mentioned. And you can change that by just typing in which exclamation is mentioned. Boom, you have chapter analysis answer. Now, Like I said, there's a lot of different buttons down here. The next one is essence completion. So let's pick a verse from chapter 1. And we're going to go with verse, ooh, that's a big one. How about verse 7? So we want an essence completion. We'll highlight you should. That should be enough to give them a clue. We're going to click on essence completion. 20 points. Essence completion from John chapter 3. Finish in essence this verse. Quote, you should. Click OK. There you go. 20-point essence completion question from John chapter 3. Finish in essence this verse. Quote, you should. And the answer, you should not be surprised at my saying you must be born again. That's pretty easy. We'll try one more. It's essence completion. Let's go to John chapter 2. Down there at the bottom, you'll see where the mouse is? You can pick any chapter that you want. So I'm trying to stay in the early chapters. Over on the next side, you'll see some arrows. You can go to verse 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's use verse 3. So we're going to say his mother. That's verse 5, okay? His mother, I'm going to highlight that because that's what we want to give the quizzer for an essence completion. I'm going to click on the E. See here, create essence completion. You'll see it pop up, 20-point essence completion question from John chapter 2. Finish in essence this verse, his mother. Put it up there. Boom, 20-point essence completion question from John chapter 2. Finish in essence this verse, quote, his mother. And there we are. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Very simple. Moving on just to an essence question. So let's pick another verse. Let's go to, let's see. Trying to make it a little shorter. Here we go. Verse 17. The next place, we're going right to left. That's chapter analysis, essence completion. Now we're just going for an essence question. So we're going to click on this. 20-point essence question from John chapter 2. Click OK. It's all set up for you. 20-point essence question from John chapter 2. Give it essence, the 17th verse. Boom. His disciples remembered that it is written, zeal for your house will consume me. That was pretty simple. One more time. Let's go to John chapter 6. And we're going to pick the first verse. Click on the purple one, purple E. Boom. There it is, 30-point essence question. It already picked the amount of points it should be. Right now, yes, that's probably right. This looks more like a 20 to me. So we're going to click OK. And what we have is a 20-point essence question from John chapter 6. Give an essence, the first verse. Or most question writers will say, give an essence, the opening verse. And there you have it. Essence completion. Next, we're going to step up to those little bit harder ones, and we're going to go, let's go up to, we'll go up to verse 7 here. We're going to put in Philip, because I think that's the only Philip there is there. And we're going to click on QC, create quotation completion. Click on that. 30-point quotation completion question. I think that could be a 30 right now. And click OK. There you go. 30-point quotation completion question from John chapter 6. Finish this verse, quote, Philip. Boom. And there they go. There's your answer right there. We've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions already. Very simple to do. Very easy to do. We'll give you one more. Let's go to John chapter 5, and we'll pick verse 1. So we're going to highlight sometime. Quotation completion, boom. Now, when you're writing these, you got to remember the rules. If it's quotation completion, it should be unique to the chapter. If there are 2 verses beginning with some, nah. Invalid question. You can't do that to the quizzers. You don't want to try to trick them. Right now, I'm just showing you how to do it because I didn't research that. We're just showing you what to do. So we're going to click on here. This looks, it's a tough 10. We're going to leave it as a 10. Okay. We're going to put 10 points up here. You can change that anytime you want. Also shows how many you have. We've written 1 10, 7 20s, and 2 30s. That's up there in this box right here. Whoa, get right there. See that? That's what we've written. You can see here it's a quotation completion question. It says that 10 points quotation completion question from John chapter 5. Finish this verse, quote sometime. And of course, there's your answer. Very simple. And we'll go to just a quotation. Let's bump it up here to sir. I'm sure that's a unique word. You want to make sure that first word is unique to whether it be section title, chapter, or all of John, because that's what it'll be a little bit later on in life. So we're going to use the word sir. No, this is just a quotation question, so we won't need that. We're going to click on Q. Quotation, 30-pointer. Let's make this a 30. It is. And 30-point quotation question from John chapter 5. You got your introductory remarks. Quote the 7th verse. Sir, invalid. Very simple there for a quotation. Next, create a basic underline text. Let's just go to create a basic. So what I'm going to do is see if I can come up with a question. Here we go. Here's our basic question right here. First question mark. We're going to create a basic question. So we're going to click here. And there is a question. Now, there is the answer, rather. You have to write the question. And I'm just going to say sometime later, comma, what happened? Question mark. That's good for 20 points. So, 20-point question. Let's say it's from the section title. You'll see here, section, chapters, 20 points from the section title, The Healing at the Pool. Sometime later, what happened? Or you could say, what happened sometimes later? Like I said, you want to try to pair these questions up exactly or as close as possible to what Jesse's been writing to give your quizzers a little help there. So when you're thinking about questions like this, did Jesse say, what happened sometime later? Or sometime later, what happened? Or according to verse 1, what happened? You know, so as he's writing them, you want to try to keep them featured like that. That's pretty simple. Let's try another one here. Writing questions on the go. I'm just looking for something that I could come up with an easy question. Oh, here we go. Let's see here. We're going to do this. We're going to create a basic question. So here's the answer. The man who was healed had no idea who it was, for Jesus had slipped away into the crowd that was there. What kind of question am I going to make? I'm probably going to make this a 30-pointer. It's going to be a statement. So we're going to make a statement, and we're going to ask the question. And it's going to be from, let's make it from the section title. We'll make it easy. So, our statement, the unique word slipped. How do I know that already without studying? You know I didn't study chapter 5. I'm going to put some quotation marks around there. The unique word slipped, and you notice it lights up green. That's why it's unique. It's unique to all of John. So the unique word slipped is mentioned in one verse. That's my statement. The unique word slipped is mentioned in one verse. It could be give in essence. Essence this verse. Spell much? Not usually. Why do I have that C in there? That's right. Give in essence this verse. And what do I have a less than and greater than sign? All right, we're struggling with typing tonight. But here you go. The unique word slipped is mentioned in one verse. Give in essence this verse. So we have a 30-point question. It's a 30 points. It's a statement and question. And it's from the section titled Healing at the Pool. Or if we didn't want to give the section title, wanted to make it a little more difficult, click on None. And then we're going to click on the chapter. So, question number 10 for 30 points. Statement and question from John chapter 5. The unique word slipped is mentioned in one verse. Give in essence this verse. Those are very easy. You just scroll through. I'm on chapter 5. You want to pick a verse that has only one unique word. You could go for two, but, look, sinning and worse. So, from John chapter 5, the unique word sinning is mentioned in one verse. Give in essence this verse. That'll help your quizzers find unique words. You could write a ton of questions like that. The unique word defense is found in one verse. Give in essence this verse. The unique word breaking. So, any green is a unique word to all of John. All of John, every chapter that there is. Let's see, in verse, here we go. In verse John chapter 5, verse 26, you'll see a blue highlighted word, granted. That is mentioned in two verses. So later on, after the league matches, you start to move into states and regionals. You'll say, granted is mentioned in two verses. Give in essence these verses. Or you could say, quote this verse. That's exactly what will happen later on in quizzing. So there are numerous things you could do. I hope I hit you up. If you want, there's not a complete answer. But if you look through here, writing your questions, the key is down here. It'll put almost everything up. You could change the point value to whatever you'd like. All right. You could make it a quotation question. You've already done it down here. You could give a complete answer. You'll see from there it says 30-point statement and question, give a complete answer. Well, you don't need that in there. The thing about this is learning to write these questions, you will make mistakes with your opening remarks. I promise you will. You won't be thinking. You'll be writing so many questions and you'll forget something. What's good about this? Your quizzes will catch it and give them a chance to contest on the verse. So they'll get some experience during that, and you're going to get a lesson in learning to make sure you put in the right opening remarks. I know back when I did Acts for my boys, I wrote about 7,500 questions. I bet you a couple hundred were wrong, and they would nail me every time. And it'd be the same thing. I forgot this, I forgot that. Always introductory remarks. So that, in a nutshell, is a quick lesson on using Question Writer. If you have any more questions, just email TBQ Talk. Email quiz at tbqtalk.com. That's quiz at tbqtalk.com. And if there's some things I could help you out with or you need another video for anything, just let me know. I want to thank you all for listening. I hope that cleared up some things for question writing. Have a good time with it. Like I said, a couple important things. Your first league match, you've either had it or it's coming up. So you'll want to look at Jesse's questions, see how he wrote them. Look in there, look in the first couple, 6 chapters, 1 through 6 for League Meet A, and see how he wrote. Look at the verse, look at the question, see how he wrote his. Try to mirror your questions for the next chapter, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, I think, to mirror that up for the next quiz round. You'll find out that it improves your quizzers very, very much. That is a big help. So any questions, you could write as many questions as you write. When you get towards the end of the year, you just keep writing and writing and writing. And all you do is make them harder. Instead of a 2-verse quote, you can come up here and say, let's do quotation completion, and we're going to add a second verse. You'll see right up top there when I open this box. Oh, you can't see because I turned you off. Right here. Up top here where it says 1, it would say 1 there. So I put 3 verses up. 30-point quotation question. So it says 30-point quotation completion question from John chapter 5. I didn't highlight the first part of it, but it would be finish this verse and the two which follow. That's how you make your questions a little bit harder. Same with chapter analysis. You just bump it up a little bit. So thanks for listening. I hope we answered some of your questions there. Have a great evening, and quizzers, remember, quote, quote, quote.